Hello YouTube, this is Damian Torres with episode 14 of BreakIN. The last time I shot a video, I mentioned my goals for the upcoming couple of weeks. One of them was to get to work on the script that I received from a publisher, and the other was to continue working on the latest set of Hobbit sketch cards. So all last week I was doing research on the script that I received and looking into the things that I'm not really familiar with, things that I haven't really drawn myself that is specified within the script. So things like train disasters and burning houses. Like this script has a lot of things that are really going to push me artistically, and a lot of things that are going to challenge me. So I'm very much looking forward to it. I completed the layouts. It's a 3-page script, so every day of the week, aside from doing the research, I was doing my thumbnails, did the thumbnails in the sketchbook, then booted up to full-size roughs, tightened the roughs a bit, made them complete layouts. So I sent those in for approval, and I can't go forward with it and go to finished pencils until I get the approvals on these layouts first. So it's very much like a working relationship with the company. Because when you're doing comics, you start with your thumbnails, you start with your roughs and then the layouts, and your editor or whoever's in charge goes through these things and approves your layouts each step of the way. So, this is to stop mistakes from happening later on in the process, like when you're getting close to your finish. So that way you don't have to erase and redraw at the very last minute, because again, comics is a very tight, well-oiled machine. So your deadline is important, and the more precise you are with it in advance, the better it is for you later on. So yeah, it's really cool because the last couple times I did sample scripts, it was just straight to pencils. So actually trying this out like as a working process, it's definitely it reminds me of being back in the Cuber school, because the way we did our assignments was very much as if you were working on the comic book. You would go from thumbnail to layout to finish, full process, however much the assignment needed. So so thankfully, with my experience at the Cuber school, this seems like second nature to me at this point. So I'm very anxious. I'm looking forward to see what the feedback is. Aside from that, the Hobbit sketch cards, I've been getting to work on those. I can't show you guys these things yet, because that's the policy. So what I can show you is these cards here. These were the artist proofs, which is the art cards I designated to have returned to me from the last Hobbit set that I did. So just to give you a quick idea of what this kind of work entails, this is what you're doing when you're doing sketch cards. It's literally small, just like these. It's like 2.5 by 3. Your medium of choice is up to you. Just don't, if you were to work on sketch cards, don't do anything that would damage the cards. Don't do anything that would buckle the cards, because A, they'll probably get rejected, and B, you want these things to be as clean as professional as possible. Something Lloyd mentioned in his video last Monday is his role models, and Ernesto mentioned in his video some of his role models. And something that's important that I don't think any of us has really discussed yet is when you are talking to creators and meeting artists and editors and writers at conventions and whatnot, you will get the question asked at some point, who are your top 10 favorite artists? And it's a really important question, because not only does it give them a bit of where you're coming from, you're giving them information on, who directly influences your work, what kind of work you're paying attention to, and it gives them an idea of like where your style more or less might fall. If you were to talk to Aries, or if you were to talk to me personally, we could go on and on and on about our favorite artists. We actually did a test back in our time at the Kira School, um, where the question was again, list your top 10 favorite artists, and we had extra time, so we just kept going, and next thing you know, it became 25 artists, and then became 50 artists, and then it became like, I don't know, 75 or something like that. Because we're always constantly paying attention to the industry and who's doing what at the moment. Um, and, which are the big names, or like for example, you look at Marvel. Every year they have a group of artists they call the Young Guns. It is basically they're not necessarily newest talent, but the talent they're pushing most within that year. So like last year was Nick Bradshaw, Mahmoud Asrar, Sarah Kelly, and throughout the year, you saw a lot of content being pushed by these artists. Um, Bradshaw was working on Guardians. Kelly was working on Guardians at some point. Mahmoud Asrar was working on X Men, and now he's going to be doing the all new, all different Avengers. So it's it's something to pay attention to, especially if you are an upcoming artist, because that could be you someday. That could be one of us someday. If I were to give a list like right now, it's going to be Andy Kubert, Adam Hughes, Terry Dotson, Frank Cho, Jim Lee, Michael Turner, Steve McNiven, Olivier Coipel, Greg Capullo, Sarah Kelly. And if you look at these different artists, a lot of their styles are different. Sarah Kelly doesn't do work looks like Jim Lee. Steve McNiven is more realistic than Greg Capullo. But each of these artists have different things that I love and different things that I like and admire about their styles and their work. And each of them have their own ways of storytelling. I know me, starting off, well, first off, even before I got to Kubert, I didn't really do narrative pages. I just did single character pinups, no backgrounds, just standing around, no dynamics or anything like that. And when it came time to do those first assignments where we had to do storytelling, I would basically do very on the point shots, very close up shots of the figures. Um, there was no size variation. There was no really good layout, and that's something if you pay attention to these artists, you're going to see very frequently. Once again, getting back to Capullo, he plays with this size variation a lot. He plays with this panel layout a lot. He always had these very good establishing shots. If you look at Court of Owls, in fact, Court of Owls Unwrapped, where you just see all his pencils, the first issue, like the first few panels, is literally just different shots of like Gotham City, different buildings. Is you don't even see like Bruce Wayne or Batman until like a couple pages in. So it's when you see things like that, it's good because it shows you how these artists convey build up and convey tension and how to get the most out of their story beats. One thing I'd like to suggest too is don't like restrict yourself to style because your style is going to constantly change the better you get. If you look at like Dan Panosian, for example, um, look at his work nowadays and compare it to his work in the 90s. His 90s work was very similar to what was going on around that era. The big muscles, the pouches all over the place, it's cross-hatching everywhere, etc. And you look at his work now, and it's like it's not even the same artist. If you're drawing one way today, you're probably not going to be drawing that same way tomorrow, or a year from now, or 5 years from now. So just keep at it and keep drawing. To bounce off of what Dropper was saying, practice. Practice every single day, even if it's just like 5 minutes a day. And it doesn't have to be, drawing characters or drawing superheroes or, whatever your creator-owned ideas might be. But like draw from life, draw, people that you might see walking on the streets or at a shopping center or at a park, things like that. Um, Draw buildings, draw your own house or wherever you're living. Um, Animals, objects, everyday things. Uh, the mundane things, because you never know when you get a script and you have to draw these kind of things. It's like now I'm thinking about the script I'm working on. I wish I had drawn more trains before or stuff like that, because it's stuff I never would have considered. But now that I have the script in front of me, like, I have to get this done now. So what I'm going to do in preparation for that is doing sketches of the specific train I'm looking at, and trying to get as comfortable with it as possible before I get to the final page. So that about wraps up what I had in mind to discuss today. 2 weeks from now, I'll be back up on Friday as usual, and I should have an update on the sample script and, of course, the cards. Tune in next week for Dropper and Aries, and hope you enjoyed the video. And once again, everybody, thank you for the support, thank you for the views, and hopefully you're getting as much content from this as possible. And if you have any questions or comments, anything at all, feel free to drop a message, whether on the YouTube channel itself, or if you want to talk to us specifically, reach out to us at any of our social media accounts. And yeah, so just keep on keeping on, and see you 2 weeks from now.